Okay, so Shira, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Joni Parsons. I'm co-creator of Rebel 11 along with Monica Smith. Monica, go ahead and say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And we created Rebel 11 about 5 years to have edgy, informative, and fun conversations with women from around the globe. And the reason for that is because we think women are better together, and together we're going to change the world. So that's our audacious goal, and we're so happy to have you here with us today. I was introduced to Shira Gill by a friend of mine. She goes, you know, Joni, I think there's somebody that can help you get rid of your clutter and be an inspiration. She goes, just go to Shira Gill's Instagram page and you are going to be inspired. And I'm telling you, I was. This beautiful book just came out. It was such serendipitous timing, Shira, I think. I found you and then I noticed that you were having the book coming out and here we are, we're talking about it. I just want to say that we all have clutter. Maybe you don't have clutter, Shira, but everybody else does. And so what does that say about people? What does it say about your values, your commitment to the environment? And what would happen if you got rid of your stuff? Who would you be? I'm so thrilled to have you on, Shira Gill. I'm so inspired by you. You're an influencer. You're an interior designer, a wardrobe consultant, and now an author of this beautiful book. And this book is really a one-stop shop for everything in your home, your wardrobe, and your life. And it's easy. There's so many fun, little, interesting things to do. I can't tell you how much I've dog-eared pages in here. I've underlined things, and like your easy way of talking to us. And it is a little hard sometimes. It's like what we were saying, it's like, how much tea do you really need? How many pins do you need? How much wrapping paper? And so much more. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here and so excited to see so many people joining us.
I know we have almost 600 people from around the globe joining us today. Isn't that amazing?
That's incredible. So fun.
So Shira, I think that it's so important to understand a person by looking back before we look forward. Can you tell us about your childhood and why you think you are the way you are?
Ooh, yeah. So I was raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. My parents met in New York and moved out for my dad to go to grad school. And then my mom never wanted to go back to the East Coast. So they stayed in California and they were both, I guess, very liberal hippies, kind of intellectuals, and raised me really from a very young age, talking about the importance of people and experiences and philanthropy. And neither of them really had any interest in material things. I did. So I loved their value set and what they taught me. And at the same time, even, as young as I can remember, I loved all the pretty things and I was interested in styling and design and clothes. And so there was sort of an interesting push-pull for me of, well, I'm attracted to all of these kind of shiny things. And I also love my parents' values. And so I think at a very young age, even without realizing it, I started kind of curating my environment and the things that I wore based on this philosophy of fewer better. So having limits and boundaries about what I consumed, but still loving to consume and appreciating things. And I guess another thing to note, my parents split up when I was 3 and they divorced when I was 8. And had a really rough divorce, not amicable, and
not fun.
Yeah, like out of a movie. And so I went back and forth every other day. I had kind of a grueling custody schedule. And so they lived 10 blocks apart, but didn't really speak. And so as a result of that, I kind of had 2 sets of everything and went back and forth. And I think, having my home and my environment and my family kind of pulled apart at a young age, I think I just always craved a sense of control that I felt like I had lost. And so I think for me, I don't even know if I would say organization, but my surroundings, my environment became very critical to how I felt at a very young age. So my mom remembers me kind of puttering around in my room and arranging things and wanting things to feel just so. So that was kind of like, I guess, the first signs that maybe I would end up in this wacky profession years later.
Well, I think the wacky profession has definitely served you well. But let's go back to like your high school days and then where you started being an actress. Like that was, I mean, were you in doing plays and on stage in high school, or where did that start?
It started when I was 8 years old. So right when my parents divorced when I was 8, I was actually a very shy, kind of introverted child. And I think I had so much going on internally that I needed to express, and somehow magically found the world of theater. I had some great teachers who kind of encouraged me. And so my like breakout role was when I was 8 years old. I was the Wicked Witch of the West, and was this like tiny.
Was that a perfect
yeah
performance for you?
Yeah. So I think, you know, I had a lot going on inside and a lot of like fear and anger and anxiety. And I think the theater became this like incredible outlet for me that was a safe place to express all of that. And so I really discovered it as a kid. And once I discovered it, that was it for me. There was nothing else that I cared about. And so I acted. We lived in Berkeley mainly growing up, and I ended up being like the child actor at UC Berkeley at the university. And so I grew up doing theater there and in school, and then became a theater major in college, studied theater and dance, and moved to London and did my senior year abroad studying drama in London. And it went on and on. So it was really like my entire life was theater.
And how long did you do that for?
It was about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so
That's
like
amazing.
from 8 to, it was around 28 that I started having inklings of, I guess I wouldn't say wanting to leave the theater, but feeling really like the life and the lifestyle was so grueling and nonstop auditioning and traveling. And I knew that I wanted to have a family, and I just started feeling like I can't imagine this lifestyle for the rest of my life. And so I left the theater when I was, I guess, approaching 30, like 28, 29. And the only other thing I was passionate about was food. And so
I love your passions.
Yeah, I was like, theater or food, that's all I've got. And so it was really painful leaving the theater because it was so much, it was my whole identity and my community. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else, but it had started feeling more stressful to me. The auditions and the traveling and the chasing work all the time. And I really craved stability, I think partially because of my childhood, which felt rather unstable. I wanted like some sort of anchor. And so I left the theater, and the only thing I could think of that I liked was food. And so I started working for a catering company, managing catering and events and parties.
And so talk to us about change. I mean, that was a significant moment in your life, right?
Yeah.
And talk to us about how that felt to you. And then once you stepped into something else, was it still fearful? Sorry, I couldn't say that. Fearful, or how did you embrace that moment of time?
It was really painful for me. Transitions have always been hard. And I think because the theater, like it felt like my religion, it didn't just feel like a career choice. And so I literally felt like I don't even know who I am anymore. I felt like so much of my confidence came from being successful on stage. And without that, it was like, I remember thinking like, am I going to be interesting anymore? Like, are people going to want to talk to me? Like, am I going to have anything that is compelling?
All of those things that we tell ourselves.
Yeah,
right?
it was like, I'm not a person unless I'm doing this thing. And so it was terribly painful. And I remember feeling really lost. I couldn't imagine any other career where I would feel joyful, passionate. Like it was like the food catering thing was really felt like I had to kind of swallow my pride and just be like, okay, this is the right choice, but it didn't feel exciting or liberating. And I think my dad had kind of carved out his own career. He was a PhD psychologist, but also had a forensic practice and worked in the prison system a lot. And he just loved his career. He was so passionate. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to have that. I'm never going to have what. So it was like really, really sad. And so it's crazy to be now where I am, where I love my career so much. And I really couldn't see it coming at the time. So it was many years of kind of painful, awkward transition and, loving food, but really not loving or being passionate about the event planning world. It didn't fill me up. And really the next transition was that I would get pregnant with my first daughter, Chloe, who's now almost a teenager. But I got pregnant with her. And when I was almost 8 months pregnant, I got laid off from
the catering company.
Yeah. So I had a full-time like event planning catering job at a really prominent company here that was going through a rough time. And they ended up laying off half of the company. And I was,
that's so hard.
Yeah. And so I remember I was pregnant, I was unemployed, and it was like, I don't know what's next for me. Like I have no vision of what my career will be.
That's such a difficult time. I mean, I've gone through that a couple of times myself, and you're just like, wow, what is next? And how do I begin to carve out, maybe another passion or another career that hopefully you're going towards your passion, right? So what happened during that time that kind of led you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, so it's incredible because I now realize had I not gotten laid off, I don't think I ever would have started this career. So
that's amazing.
Such a crazy gift in disguise. But
I mean, from one closing, there's an opening, right? But we don't always know that at the time. So tell us about that.
Yeah, it's hard to see it. So I got laid off and I was pregnant and sad. And then I had my daughter, Chloe, and I actually really loved being a mom. So I think you never know how it's going to pan out. And I knew I wanted to have kids, but I had grown up an only child and doing things my own way. And so I was very nervous about becoming a mom. And I really fell in love with my daughter, and I just kind of found it so delightful being a mom. And so the first gift, I guess, was that unemployment allowed me to stay home with my daughter for the first year of her life. I wasn't making
so lovely.
It was amazing. And I wasn't making that much money at my event planning job. And so we had realized paying for full-time childcare would kind of cancel out my income anyway. So I basically was able to, and my husband worked at a nonprofit at the time. So he was at a nonprofit. I was getting unemployment and we were in an apartment. And I just kind of had that year to be a mom and have time and space. And during that time, I've always loved groups and women's groups. And so I joined 3 different new mom groups. So I was very active in like the new parent community, and I would often volunteer to host our meetings. And many of the moms would say, like, I don't understand, where's all the crap? Where's all the clutter? Where's all the kid gear? Like I'm exploding. And so I started thinking about that and kind of realizing everybody who would come to my house would be kind of shocked at how I lived and how my house, ran quite smoothly and I didn't have a lot of stuff. And so I was thinking about my career and what am I going to do? And I need to start making money. And I wanted to get out of the house and work again. And I had several close girlfriends who basically said, like, you've got to help people like declutter and get organized the way that you've figured out how to do it in your life. And I should mention, like, all through high school, I was always the one who was helping my friends clean out their closets and kind of begging them, can we go through your desk? And it was just fun and cathartic for me. So it was something I had always done, but in no way, did I ever equate that with a future career. And so
what was that aha moment like when you're like, wow, maybe I should do that?
Well, I didn't totally trust it, is the truth. Like I had many, many people saying, like, you're onto something here and you've got to help people. But at the time it was, pre-Marie Kondo, there were no home organizing shows on Netflix. Like, it was not an established profession. And I was like, no, I need like a real career, like this sounds very strange. And at the same time, I wanted to figure out how to stay home with my daughter. And I didn't want to have her in full-time care at the time. And so I think for me, the light bulb moment was like, well, maybe I can stay home with her Monday through Friday while my husband's at work. And then I could just try seeing clients on the weekends and just see, because then we would have zero childcare cost. And
right.
I could kind of try this business, and the business, amazingly, unlike a product-based business, there was zero startup cost. Like, it was nothing. It was just me telling people, I can go to your house
what to do.
help you. And so yeah, it wasn't like a grand light bulb moment of like, I found the career. It was really like kind of more of a, maybe, maybe there's something here. And so
when was that? How long ago was that?
That was in 2010. So my daughter was born in 2009. So 12 years ago. Am I doing the math right? Yeah. So 12 years ago, and really in my brain, it was like, well, here's something I can do during this transitional time of being a new parent, and then I'll figure out my real career. That was my plan. And so what I did is, I grew up in the Bay Area and my husband did too. So we had quite a large network and community. And we just put together a huge email list of, I think I emailed my dentist, like everyone I had ever met. And I just said, I'm starting a small business helping people with decluttering and home organization. If you need help, I am offering 3-hour packages. Because I was breastfeeding. So we realized I could only like run out 3 hours and race back. So that's how I started.
Fantastic.
It was like 3 hours, weekends only. And I put it out to the world. And the first person who hired me was an actor who I had acted in plays with in San Francisco years ago. And she had just bought a new home and she said, yes, I do need your help. And my kitchen's a mess. And I was so nervous and total imposter syndrome. And I remember my husband saying, just pretend it's your house and go in there and just do what you would do if it was your house. And so that really helped me. And so I went and I helped her and it was incredible. And she wrote me this rave review and posted on her parents group. And that's basically what happened. I just started getting, a person here, a person there, and then they would tell their friends or their neighbors or post on a parent group. And in no time, I was like booked with a wait list. So,
and isn't it interesting when you have parameters, you make it work regardless, because it's your, in your heart of hearts, it's going to work.
Yeah. And I think I felt like I had no other choice. So when people would say, well, can you come on a Monday? I would say, I can't. I can come on a Saturday from
exactly. So Shira,
yeah.
That is just so inspiring. And I'm sure so many people in our audience are inspired by that, because when you do, I love this saying, that once you have a dream, all the universe conspires to make it happen. And there's so much truth to that. I mean, it's internal, but there's sometimes a universal perspective too. So talk about your solopreneur journey. I mean, so you went from, this idea to doing 1, 2, and 3 to where you are today with, being an influencer and, writing. Tell us how that journey's been for you.
Yeah. So essentially I was seeing clients primarily on weekends. And then at a certain point, I signed my daughter up for preschool. And so I was able to expand. And I think at that point, it really was the dream that is so elusive for women, where I felt like I had found the holy grail of being able to have my own career that I loved, where I worked and I helped people and I had a separate identity other than motherhood. But then I could pick my daughter up at 2:00 from preschool and be with her and read to her at night. So it was this sort of like glorious period of time. And I think I didn't have a lot of pressure on myself at that time to have a career with a capital C. It was just like, I'm making money, I'm helping people, I love what I'm doing, and I can still have quality time with my daughter. This is incredible. But I still, for the first few years, I didn't think of it as a career. I didn't invest heavily in my business. I just kind of let people come to me and, word of mouth and referral. Then I got pregnant again. And so I had my second daughter. And so in my head, it was like, well, this is still a great setup for being a mom. And then I'll figure out my career later. And so it's interesting because there was no business plan. There was no like big vision. It was just, I really enjoy doing this. It's working for now. It's great for being a mom. Then I had Emily and got Emily off to preschool. And then when both of my kids were in school, I kind of had this true light bulb moment where I realized maybe this is the career. Like maybe I don't have to go figure out the career. I think I really love this and it seems to be working. And
that's so fabulous.
There was a point where I just decided, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to go all in on it. And so at that point, I decided to go get a life coach certification. So I went to the life coach school, which at the time was based in California and was like a big in-person intensive. And I did that both kind of to tackle my own personal stuff that I was going through, but also because I felt like with my clients that I had been working with, I just saw these universal themes come up again and again with like guilt and shame and paralysis. And I just wanted to help people on every level. And so I went back to school, I got that certification. I kind of embarked on this big business mastermind program with the woman who ran that program, Brooke Castillo, who's a total powerhouse businesswoman. And it was at her kind of prompting, she said, you have such a great business and you're helping so many people, but you could help so many more people if you had an online offering. And I was really resistant. I'm a little bit tech phobic. And so the idea of
too, actually.
anything online, I mean, it's so funny that now like our whole lives are Zoom, but at the time I was like, I don't even know how to like operate a mic. And so she convinced me to launch a program, an online program. And the impetus for that for me was that I really couldn't keep up with the demand. I felt like I was working 5 or 6 days a week with clients. I had a wait list and it was incredible to be that successful, but it was also, it felt stressful. I felt like I can't keep up. I want to help people. I also recognize many people don't have the disposable income to hire a professional organizer. And so I loved the idea that I could help people all over the world at a much more affordable price point. So I launched, my first program was the Closet Makeover Program. And it did really well. And people started taking it all over the world and it was really thrilling. And so that kind of catapulted me into more online programs. I think I have 5 or 6 now. And then shortly thereafter, I got my book deal for Minimalista, and felt really ready at that point that I had really a process and a toolkit and so much to share. It was, I guess, nearly 10 years into my career. And so the book.
So I'm going to interrupt you there,
Yes.
and that's just so fabulous and such an amazing background. I think that it's so important for people to know the journey, being a woman entrepreneur, being a mom entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, but let's get into some reasons why we do this. So one of the things that you say is that, you live your values when you declutter your house. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I think, for me, a lot of my work is rooted in wanting to help people figure out what they care about the most deeply. And so before I ever do anything with my home or anybody else's home, the question is always why? Like, what do you want? What do you want to change? How do you want your life to be different, or the results in your life to be different? For me personally, the big motivator for living a minimalist life was that two things, I guess. One, I love hosting. I love having people over. I love having dinner parties when it's not a pandemic. I love having my kids, invite friends over at a moment's notice. And so I just wanted my house to be able to facilitate that and to not feel like I had to go through the piles or shove things in a closet, but that my house was sort of this like open vessel, I guess, that could welcome people.
So Shira, let's talk about your manifesto. So we have a graphic to put up, and I think this is a really good time to talk about, these tips. So let's go through each of these. So maybe just kind of a quick rapid fire about each of these tips.
Okay. So yeah, buy less, live more. That's just obvious, right? Like when we spend less time consuming and managing stuff, we can do more of the things that we love. So for me, that's hosting and dinner parties and travel, all of that. Invest in high quality and solid craftsmanship. I found I used to just buy lots of cheap things and then ultimately just want one nice thing. And so better for the planet, better for our wallets to just invest in fewer, better things.
And Shira, I just want to add that you have a great list in the book of things to actually spend money on, and then things you can kind of like skimp on. So, you don't want to, you want to spend money on like sofas and really nice chairs and a nice mattress, but not so much maybe on pillows and that type of thing. Can you just give a few tips there?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the things that you sit on or sleep on every day, like, the furniture that you use constantly, like have a good bed, invest in a good mattress. But then where I kind of skimp is, I don't spend a lot of money on art. So I will buy something from like a local artist, like a print, or throw pillows. Like, I don't think you need to spend $500 on a throw pillow. You can get a great throw pillow for a reasonable amount of money. So I think it's just thinking through like, what are the things that you engage with on a day-to-day basis? Even things like towels and sheets, like have less of them, but you use them every single day, right? So instead of buying something that doesn't feel good on your body or that you don't like how it's made, I would rather have two really good towels and like one great set of sheets and take care of them. So that's kind of an example there.
That's great. And then opt for natural, sustainable materials.
Yeah. So I think, we all know that plastic is no good for the environment. It's, often toxic for people's health. And so in my work, whenever possible, I opt for non-plastic, non-synthetic materials. I think more and more shops are moving that direction. So it's become easier and easier to do.
And then Shira, let me just say that in the book, you have an incredible list of resources for places to buy key materials and key products. So I just want to highlight that it's a fabulous list. I've gone through each and every one of them. So
Oh, good.
continue on.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a full resource list in the back of the book that has kind of my favorite places to buy things. What else have we got? Shop your own home before hitting the stores. I think many people, when they try to get organized, they go straight to, I'm going to run out to the Container Store and buy all the bins and baskets, and that's going to help me get organized. I actually think the best thing you can do to get organized is just own less stuff, have less to organize in the first place. And then for the things that you do want or need, shopping your own house, looking and seeing, do I have already a great basket or a throw pillow or something I can move from one room to another? And if not, then make a list of things that you want to invest in. But often with my clients, I'll find just by asking like, oh, okay, we need 2 baskets to store the kid toys. Do you have anything? Often, they'll go, oh yeah, you know what? I do have some baskets sitting around that we could repurpose. So that's always better than buying something new if you don't have to.
Yeah, and I just, as far as baskets go, I was just talking with a friend, a shop owner yesterday, and she was saying, all of her baskets she just got from like Salvation Army or the Goodwill, because there's so many brand new baskets that are there. So I thought that was a good little tip.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I love buying secondhand. I buy most of my clothes secondhand now because I can get the best clothes at the best price. And I don't particularly mind if someone's already worn it. So that's a great way to kind of shop a more elevated brand, maybe that you wouldn't normally afford or splurge on. Get one that somebody's used once, and then celebrate life's little luxuries. So that's one of my favorite things, is just thinking about how to elevate the everyday. And for me, like fresh flowers go a really long way in boosting my personal happiness. So we have a flower mart in San Francisco I've been driving to, once every month or two. And sorry, my doorbell's ringing. My husband will get it. But just surrounding yourself with beauty, whatever that looks like for you. So fresh flowers, I have a friend that starts her morning every day with warm lemon water, like simple things that don't have to cost a lot of money, but just make you feel good and make you feel like you're caring for yourself and your space.
Great. And we have some more.
Oh gosh. Okay, we'll blast through. So try to repair instead of replace. I think we do live in such a kind of disposable culture where people feel like something's done, I just will toss it in the garbage. And clothing is not disposable. Like clothing is clogging our landfills. So if a button falls off, I just encourage people to sew a button back on or bring something in for repair. If you have an electronic that breaks, see if you know someone who can fix it. Embrace negative space and dispose of unwanted items responsibly. So I love negative space. I think when I think about decor and design, I'm just as concerned with what are we removing as what are we adding. So I think one of the easiest ways to elevate your space is simply by stripping away clutter, just looking around your environment and seeing what are the things that don't make me feel good, or I don't like staring at, or maybe you have a duplicate. What can I let go of to create more spaciousness? And then of course, with the things that you don't want, donating responsibly instead of trashing. So use your local community. I find often it's so easy to just list something on a local buy nothing group, or we have Craigslist free here. I think it's just in the United States. But using your neighborhood and your community, I've often donated things to my kids' preschool or local library or theater. It's very easy to match the things that you don't need with somebody who does, instead of tossing. And then create a home that supports your personal goals and core values. We talked about that a bit. So really getting in touch with what are the things that you care about deeply, and what are the things that you're wanting to create in your life, and how can your home facilitate that? Sometimes just asking that question.
Yeah, and Shira, I think people get the last kind of three, be the gatekeeper. It's like, what do you let in your house and what do you not? And so I'd like to move forward and talk about minimalism that doesn't have to be cold and stark. So why don't you give a little intro to that? And then we have some photos here. Let's first talk about that, some people equate minimalism with white, stark environments, but tell us your philosophy on that.
Yeah. So I think, there is a minimalist aesthetic that I think people have in their heads that often is very stark and white. And you can see looking behind me, I certainly embrace, I love a light, bright space with not a lot of stuff. But my personal definition of minimalism is not rooted in aesthetics. It's rooted in values. And so the way that I approach minimalism is just identifying what you care about and what's essential to you and stripping away the rest and really arriving at the perfect amount for you. And that looks different for everyone. Everyone's style is different. But the images that you have up, they're all of my friend and colleague, Clara, of Banner Day Interiors. She's a interior designer in the San Francisco Bay Area. And her home is featured throughout my book. And she kind of said to me, I don't think of myself as a minimalist at all. I love color and texture and wallpaper. And I said, yes, but the way that you live and the way that you design is so intentional. And so that's really the distinction is, to me, minimalism is at its core, it's about intentionality. And so being purposeful about how you set up your home, embracing the things that you like. Maybe what you like is neon and cheetah, and that's how you want to set up your home. Great. That can still be a way of living in a minimal, intentional way. So yeah, I think there's a big misconception there.
So really quickly, let's talk about the wallpaper. I don't think you have wallpaper in your home. Is that correct?
I don't, but I kind of want to.
Okay, so let's talk about this wallpaper and, how do you handle wallpaper properly?
Well, so I'm not an interior designer. I really am an organizer and a coach. So that would be a Clara question for sure. But I think, for me, a wallpaper, like what she's used so beautifully here, it's a way of enhancing a room and making it pop. So it's really for somebody who wants to make a statement. And for me, I've always wanted my home to feel very calming. And I have so much clutter in my brain that I think for me, having a lot on the walls feels distracting. But when I see it in one of these beautiful rooms that Clara's designed, I'm totally attracted to it. So I think for anybody who feels like they want to embrace color, pattern, texture, there's also peel off wallpaper. So you don't have to make, a long-term decision about having it forever. It can be, you enjoy it for a season of your life and then take it.
I love that idea. that would be perfect for someone who likes change a lot. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about some examples from your home. I think we have that coming up next here. Okay. And so one of the things that you say, Shira, right off is the entryway is so important. So talk about what you have here in your philosophy around entryways.
Yeah, so that is my entryway. We were not blessed with an entry closet or a mudroom or anything. And so when you walk into our home, basically I installed 2 sets of hooks so that we have low hooks my kids can reach and high hooks for the adults and a basket for shoes. And then to the right of that, which you can't see in this picture, we have a basket for mail. And so really my number one tip for the entry is just reduce the amount of volume of things that you store in your entry. You don't have to have 100 hats or 100 jackets. You can have the 2 that are in regular use. Normally when this is not styled, my kids have their backpacks and we have a dog leash and we each have a coat. So, and then basically that basket can only accommodate 4 pairs of shoes. So it's really thinking through what are the things that get dumped by the front door and do we have a easy place to hang or to put shoes away or plop mail.
And I think it's really important to note that a lot of people have small houses, so this is a great solution. I mean, I have a small house like you do, and I'm going to add a row of hooks. So
Yeah,
thank you for
hooks are
that.
a game changer. I mean,
Let's go to the living room.
okay. Yes, so there is my living room. So I think with the living room, it's just thinking about what are the activities you want to do in your living room. So for our family, we love movie night. You can see we do have a TV. We fully embrace like family movie night. We like games. So in the kind of credenza under the TV, we have board games and cards and kind of like my kids' favorite games. And when they were younger, we would have puzzles and toys in there. And then we have a big comfy sectional, like we like hosting and entertaining. So we got the biggest couch that would comfortably fit in our small space. And other than that, we don't have a lot going on in our living room. It's a small space. And so it facilitates just the things that we do there.
Where do you spend the most time in your home?
I spend the most time in the dining room that I'm sitting in. I work here, I podcast here, I write here, we eat here, we do art projects here. It's really like everything, and the kitchen is to my right. And
well, and we're going to be talking about that now. So let's go to the kitchen.
Yeah. So there's my kitchen, and I don't cook a lot, but my husband cooks every night. He's a tremendous chef. My brother's a professional chef. We love eating. And so for me, I just wanted a kitchen that felt good and easy to cook in. And because we rent our house and we have guests often, I really embraced having open cabinets so you can see anything you might need, a stranger could walk in and find. So you can grab a glass or a mug or a plate or anything you need is right there and open. So I really love having open cabinets.
I love the invitation for guests to make themselves at home. And we have an open shelf kitchen as well. And it's really nice when people come over, just like make yourself at home, enjoy. So
yeah, and we rent our house both for photo shoots and film shoots and Airbnb. And so we have guests a lot in our home, and it's really nice to not have to explain or open every drawer, but to just say like, it's all here, go crazy, help yourself.
Okay, we're going to talk about the pain point for many people is the closet. Oh, we're going to go to the bathroom first. Then we're going to talk about the big pain point, but let's talk about the bathroom here.
Yeah. So quick tip in the bathroom. This is something I see so much is people have so many products and they're half used or used once and then fallen out of favor, or all the toiletries you get for free at a hotel. And people are drowning in products. And so number one tip is just stop buying products, stop accepting free products, and use up what you have. And then splurge on a few really nice products. So we share one tiny bathroom, me and my two girls and my husband and our dog. And so instead of having a million products, I get one nice shampoo, one nice conditioner, and one body wash. And because of that, because we literally only own 3 products at a time, I've been able to invest in really nice, high quality, non-toxic products. So that's like my big tip for the bathroom is just use up what you have, which in most people's cases is a lot of stuff, before you buy anything else. And then really take the time to figure out, what do you love? What are the products that feel good on your hair, skin, body, and just invest in the good stuff and buy less of it.
Okay, let's now talk about the pain point for most people, which is the closet. So talk about this. This is not your closet. This is is this a client?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite befores. And this was actually a woman, Tanya, who took my closet makeover program. So the transformation you're about to see, she did all by herself. With a little guidance from me. So this was her closet before, and she is a stylist. And so she loves clothes, loves shoes, but felt like she was drowning and felt like she couldn't find the things that she loved. And so basically just by doing a massive, massive edit and reorganization, if you want to show the after, I think it's quite dazzling.
Amazing. So talk about this. That's just amazing.
So Tanya told me, I think she got rid of more than 50% of the things that she owned. So she really like did a major, major edit, and she was able to figure out what are the things I absolutely love and what's just the dead weight. So that was kind of the biggest impact, was just letting go. So she didn't buy any new stuff. She repurposed things she already owned. And just setting it all up so that it was beautifully displayed, shoes out of boxes, clothes organized by color and style. And so now it's like she's created her own beautiful boutique that she can shop from every morning.
And how did she say that made her feel after she got done doing that?
I mean, she said she literally felt like she had lost 100 pounds.
Well, she did.
Yeah, I mean, she literally did, of clutter. But yeah, I think, her and other people who have done this work and had this experience of transformation, it's a feeling of lightness and freedom, and kind of having more confidence, clarity and control. And just, I think there was a lot of shame wrapped up, for her specifically, and feeling like, I'm a stylist and a clothes influencer, but I can't find anything. My closet's a hot mess. I'm not proud of it. So
Shira, a couple of people asked two things. How long did that take her to do? And did she donate everything, or did she sell it?
She did a combination. So she told me she sold the high ticket items. I think she listed them online, and then did a massive donate. The time she took my first ever closet makeover program, which at the time was a 6-week program. So it took her 6 weeks to kind of go from start to finish. And during that program, we literally go through like the underwear drawer, the sock drawer, like one category at a time. So it's very meticulous. And so she, in that 6-week period, was able to get those results.
And somebody in the chat said there's definitely a psychological component to having a lot of stuff versus not, but I think we'll leave that for another time, that conversation. I think that might be a long one, unless you have a few words about that, and then I have some more questions.
No, that's okay. I know we have so much to cover.
Okay. So in the book, there's so many resources in this book, and your 5 top essentials for the home. Let's talk about those. So wooden hangers.
Yes, I am a big fan of wooden hangers.
And why is that?
They don't break. So I think like a lot of people got those like thin, I think they're called huggable hangers, the velour hangers. Mm-hmm. I've just had them snap and break so much with my use and with clients. I started investing in wood hangers because I think they're lovely to look at. They're sustainably made, and they can last your entire lifetime.
I love that because I've broken many a hanger.
Yes.
We've talked about this a little bit, but the shaker peg rail.
Yeah. So I think hooks might be, they're definitely at the top of my like #1 organizing best friend. I use hooks probably in every room in my house, like for the entry, as you saw, in the kitchen for aprons or scissors, in the laundry room for hanging things, in a kid playroom for dress up stuff, hats, accessories. I just think they're a great, easy, and affordable way of having a place to hang things. So,
okay, the woven basket.
Yeah, I'm looking at my house. It's just like woven baskets everywhere. So I love a woven basket because I think, it's a pretty natural texture. It fits in with most home decor. It doesn't feel like having a big plastic tub in your living room. So I use open woven baskets. I'm just looking in my living room for magazines, for books, for the remote control, for extra throw pillows or blankets or toys. I just think they're easy, and it makes cleanup a breeze at the end of the day to just toss something in an open vessel.
Okay, the open canvas bin.
Yes. So there are these open canvas bins that I love. Oh yes, thank you.
There we go.
You can see them there. Those are from the Container Store, but there's a version of them sold everywhere. And I love them, you know, for entryways. I use those for like seasonal things, hats, gloves, sunscreen, masks. They're really affordable and just, again, an easy open vessel, not made of plastic.
Okay, and the number 5, glass canning jars.
Yes, so airtight glass jars are like a pantry's best friend for keeping food airtight. We recently had rain and we had ants and they couldn't get into any of our food. It was so exciting.
So good.
Yeah, it was, I mean, not a fan of the ants, but I think like I really saw, oh, none of our non-perishable and perishable stuff, you know, it stays super fresh longer. And you can see the volume and the quantity. So I use those in a pantry, but I also like using them to elevate other household goods like, you know, wool dryer balls in your laundry room or office supplies. You can use them for anything.
Okay, just a couple of more things, and we're coming to the end already. It goes so quickly. My go-to resources for every room, you know, Shira has everything listed here that you could possibly need. So like for living rooms and dining rooms, you know, you have like a list for baskets, the basket room, the citizenry, connected goods, any one that you would like to highlight as a key component to your house for the living and dining rooms?
No, I mean, I think like I give a really comprehensive list because I have readers all over the world. So I did try to include some international resources. I mean, I am a fan of IKEA, which is global. And I think IKEA, as a big box store, tends to have better sustainability practices.
They do, yes.
Which I really appreciate. And I think it's a really affordable price point. I'm a big fan of their open belly baskets that I think are $9. And I use those all over my house too.
Yeah, that's a really good point. They have a very nice sustainability mission, and many of the companies listed here that also do. So let's talk about our clothes really quickly. You said that you have repurposed clothes, which is lovely. Do you have a couple of key manufacturers that you like from a sustainability perspective for your wardrobe?
It's
where
so
you would
tough.
spend money, like Jenny Kane, for instance.
In terms of identifying like which are the most sustainable companies. I think typically, like broadly speaking, shopping small and local, I always try to do. But then beyond that, like my biggest hack right now is just identifying brands that you like and buying them secondhand. So I'm a huge fan of The Real, and I use eBay and Poshmark, and I've kind of taken time to identify the brands that I love, that fit me well and flatter my body. And I know my sizes. And so I will just go in and search like Doen sweater, you know, size small, and I'll find it for 1/3 of the price and know that I'm not creating more product, that I'm buying something that already exists.
And you know what that also does is that is really easy on your pocketbook. So what does that do to your bank account?
It's really saves a boatload of money. So yeah, I would say like typically when I buy things that are gently used, that when I get them, they're new to me and they, you know, are washed and look like new. Typically I'm getting them for like 1/4 of the retail price. So it's spending so much less money. The other thing I'll say, and this may be unique to me, but I love swapping clothes with my friends. So of course you have to have some friends that share a similar aesthetic or size. But finding a few friends where you want to keep it fresh. And I've also hosted clothing swaps where everybody brings a few things that maybe they bought and just weren't a fit. And they're kind of like, oh, I want someone to have this. And everybody goes home with a few new things. And
I love that so much.
So fun.
Some friends of mine do that and it's just a blast. So. Yes. Okay, we're going to do a wrap. I can't believe this time has gone so quickly. So this is a quick, really rapid fire thing. So what would you tell your 25-year-old self?
I would tell her, calm down, it's all going to work out.
Awesome. I think that's a good de-stressing lifestyle tip as well. Just calm down. It's going to be okay.
Everybody calm down.
Everybody just calm down. What are you reading right now?
Oh, I brought it because it's so good. So this is called 4,000 Weeks Time Management for Mortals. It's by Oliver Burkeman, and it's absolutely brilliant, and it will change how you think about how you spend your time forever.
I love that. I will put that in the chat. We'll send out an email with that tip.
Yeah.
Who is a woman that inspires you and why?
Right now I'm really inspired by Stacey Abrams. I just think she's
Me too.
a powerhouse,
Amazing.
Fearless, single-minded, brave. I adore her.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a very good one. What's your dream for 2022?
Having a break from this pandemic and being able to hug people without masks. I don't know if that's a realistic dream, but
oh, it's such a wonderful dream.
Let's have it.
Okay, well, I want to give you a big virtual hug for joining us today. This has been so delightful, Shira. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
So fun. And you're doing such good work and inspiring so many people. So thank you. I'm going to toss it over to my co-creator, Monica Smith, to tell us a little bit about some upcoming Revelry 11 events.